All right. So we talked about um, the crime in Stockton, and some of the things that we can do to kind of help as a community as well. Um, so the other things, are it's the hottest topic for the city, even bigger than the crime. You know what that is?
Homelessness.
Homelessness.
Of
Absolutely.
course.
I remember right before the backpack drive
Hmm.
last year, you told me I just all these people just got dumped,
Oh yeah.
out of the shelter.
Hmm.
They were receiving grant money and things like that, and now we have to figure out where to put these people.
Hmm.
And I know that, and it was it was really impactful because you were in the middle of a decision making process at the time. I just happened to be privy to it. I don't know. I don't know, Kimberly. I just got lucky, right,
Yeah.
that I was able to meet you at a certain at in a certain dynamic, in a certain
Hmm.
way. And you've always been pretty transparent and authentic, and that's why, you know that day, I said, I need to talk to this woman, like, more extensively, because, and it's always been on my mind. And this is why you're a dream
Hmm.
guest on my podcast,
Hmm.
because you've always been transparent, and you show up, right?
Thank you.
So, and I mean, she even told me I was in DC and did it, like, she's a communicator. So let's talk about the what we're doing for homelessness. How can the community
Yeah.
help, and
This
all
is
of the
this is a
things.
good one. Okay. So let's back it up to when I met you. So at that time, the city of Stockton owns the property for the Stockton Shelter for the Homeless, or what was known as the Stockton Shelter for the Homeless. They gave the city like a 30-day notice saying, "Hey, by the way, we're no longer going to be the operators of the Stockton Shelter for the Homeless
Mm.
because we don't have the fiscal ability to maintain." Now, this is all after all we give them all kinds of care money and art money and um, oh, what is the name of that other streamline? Oh, I can't think of it right now. When it pops up, I'll let you know. But we've given them money to kind of operate the shelter and things of that nature. So that was a big blow
Yeah.
because I was just like, how do you go bankrupt as a nonprofit and give someone a 30-day notice on a shelter that's like one of the most critical aspects of our city, which is our
Yes.
homeless population. So it was a really big thing, and we were really like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen now?" At that time, we were building the low barrier shelter, which we just broke ground on, and then we were also continuing the oh God, they're the rail carts, but they're like a more higher level pillar of beds that it's about 250 beds. So that'll be done
150
in,
beds.
in September-ish. So all of these dynamics were happening. We were feeling like, oh, Stockton, we're about to get ahead of it. So when they gave us that notice, it was significant. And
Yeah.
we were like, holy moly, like all these people are going to be displaced because there's no operator.
Yeah.
So we had to do some emergency communications and put out a request for another provider to come in to oversee
Mm.
the Stockton Shelter for Homeless, which is now St. Mary's Dining Hall. They just merged
Right.
it into one.
Mm.
Um, when we talk about our homeless shelter, let's be clear, there are three factors that often contribute to someone being displaced. One is mental health.
Mental
The
health.
second is substance abuse
Hmm.
or co occurring disorder. And then the third one is like palliative care. So sometimes a lot of our homeless shelters have homeless or unhoused members of the community have medical
Yeah.
issues. Okay, so it's such a critical, that's a critical theory in this formula because that means that people need supportive
Yeah.
services. People need case managers. People need mental health services. People need rehabilitative treatment. And it's a unique individual and line of services that are needed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, again, when we talk about municipalities, 75% of the budget is dedicated to public services.
Mm.
So that leaves 25% for everything else.
Yeah.
For water, for Parks and Rec, for administrative services. So what I'm saying to you is that the price tag that comes along with it supersedes our ability. That's why collective and collaborative work is necessary
Yeah.
in order to really treat and heal the problem. So we need mental health providers, we need supportive services, we need the county to step up, and there's families who are homeless.
Yeah.
So when kids are going to school and they're experiencing homelessness at the same time, that's the special needs support that they need.
Yeah.
And so while the city is moving steadfast to like address it, there's barriers.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court just ruled now that cities have the right to enforce and cite and remove unsheltered community members from public property.
Mm.
That's going to be significant
It is.
because when you cite them, that means they have to actually go to the homeless shelter.
Yeah.
Well, there's different reasons that people don't want to go to the homeless shelter.
Yeah.
But now they're not going to have any choice. That's going to change the culture and the dynamics of this city. And yes, there are cities that give people a one-way ticket to Stockton.
Yeah.
That's significant. That's
They're
significant.
dropping off homeless.
And they're
this year.
right. And think about it. Stockton is very unique because there are, contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of supportive services here in Stockton, more than that of Lodi, more than that of Tracy, more than that of Ripon. And so, yeah, a lot of times there's people who come here who are being, directed
Yeah.
to come to the city. And that's crazy. But we still have to deal with that. So there's just so many moving pieces when we talk about our most critical issue
Mm.
that's pressing in our community, which is being unsheltered and unhoused.
Yeah.
And then also, Stockton is very unique as well because there's a lot of Stocktonians who are being ousted out because the rent is high.
That's another thing.
People
The
can't
rent.
afford rent. And when someone who can't, like, now you're working on your iPad and your phone,
Yeah.
so you don't even have to commute. So people can move from
The Bay
Vallejo and the
Area
Bay
and
Area
live here.
and
Yeah.
Southern California or whatever and live here and open their computer and go to work every day.
Yeah, most definitely. I noticed that a lot when COVID happened. It was I was trying to buy a home and everything was getting bought immediately because everyone was coming from the Bay Area, didn't have to go clock in anymore. So they wanted a better home for a lower rate, and it kind of took over the city.
Yeah.
And now they're renting out the spaces for
Airbnbs,
Yeah.
whatever, but it's still problematic
yeah.
because now the average cost of a house is in $500,000.
Yeah.
And so
It really raised the pricing on everything. So now, it's kind of it's more difficult, right, for someone to buy their first home, because the prices got marked up by so much.
and then inflation is up.
Inflation as well.
PG&E is up.
Yeah.
There's things that are that we need to factor in. But I think that it's important that we start factoring those things into decisions that are made, choices that are made in our day-to-day lives as well. Like, I've been talking to my kids about financial literacy. I was happy to see that the governor just made an executive order mandating financial literacy in high school, because I think
That's a huge one.
That's a huge
That's
one.
one of the things that I've been advocating for, is to get that in high school. Like, people need it. You can't
Absolutely.
expect them to learn it at home when their families are already struggling and don't know how to balance a budget. You say checkbooks, but it's not even checkbooks anymore. Like,
Man,
so
right.
yeah,
So I just think that, we have to pour into our communities and kind of understand those dynamics, talking about financial literacy, talking about credit.
yeah, credit.
I didn't know anything about credit. In fact, when I turned 18, I went right into Bank of America and was given a credit card and a checkbook. I didn't even know how to write a check. I was
Yeah,
18 years old.
yeah,
So I try to make a point to have those conversations about financial literacy. That is so real.
yeah.
Because by the time you're 24, 25, you can make some bad decisions
And just
and
be on
tear
the
that
wrong
credit
track. Yeah.
up.
And it takes about what 7 years to get it all the way
Tell me about
together.
it.
And everybody thinks they could buy credit repair, and that was a
Absolutely.
whole situation.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. That is a whole nother situation.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
won't even get into
Yeah.
that. But I appreciate how transparent you've been with everything. As far as like the homelessness goes, um, the mental health aspect was I remember that being super significant because when some of the mental care the centers, I feel like
Hmm.
they shut down many years ago, right? Like there was a pullback um, on that, and that created more. Because when we first moved to Stockton, I'm from Oakland originally, East
Hmm.
Oakland, and we moved to Stockton. There wasn't so much, right? And then I do remember when the centers began to close down,
Yeah.
and
That's
it grew.
huge.
Yeah,
And as I talked about a little bit, touched on like prison systems and how they don't build, our systems impacted residents, it, equipping them to come back and like transition into society. Think about when that mental health hospital closed
hmm,
and where those people went.
yeah,
And these people relied on people to feed them, to bathe them, to med them,
yeah,
to supervise them. And when that shut down, the transition back was just like, what is it?
yeah,
Like, here it is. Again, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. My discharge plan is always like, client so and so will be transitioned back to lower level of care.
yeah,
And as a clinician, it's my responsibility to build out what that means.
yeah.
Well, some of these people will remain discharged with no discharge plan.
No plan.
Discharge to whom?
Yeah,
Discharge to what?
right.
Discharge how?
Yeah,
So a lot of what we see in Stockton is like consequences of choices and decisions that weren't always the best.
yeah,
They weren't the best intentions for the people,
right.
because we didn't have enough providers to sustain the numbers.
Yeah.
Even now, so I'm going to be traveling in August, going to the Democratic National Convention. Well, I'll have my 15 minutes of fame to talk about mental health. And the one thing that I will always say, this is a factual number. This is from the Center for Disease Control, that say like out of 5 youth, at least 3 to 4 have either some mental health symptoms or
Hmm.
mental health diagnosis.
Yeah.
Now, those are the people who are being
That's
transparent.
actually
Because,
getting
I mean, how do
diagnosed.
you know what a mental health treatment is or
Yeah.
symptom is if you're like 17, 16? So
Yeah.
these are
You
the
just
people,
think that you're just
right,
mad,
right, right,
Yeah.
right. But we don't have the workforce bandwidth
Yeah.
to really touch those lives.
Yeah.
So I say that to say this: as a society and a nation and communities, if we're not equipping our residents and our young people to be healthy and thrive to the best of their ability, what are we creating?
Right.
What's really happening? And until our priorities are that reflect the people, we're going to be in the same situation.
Yeah.
And I really, at this tenure in my like career, I value having the knowledge and the access
Yeah.
and the opportunity to really just kind of drum that up into the universe. It's like we need to be investing in our most valuable assets,
Yeah.
and that's
Which
our
is our
young
people.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most definitely.
absolutely. Yeah.
So what is the city of Stockton able to do to kind of facilitate that?
In terms of like the mental health aspect,
Yeah, just yeah.
I mean, again, because as a city, like there's things that we have preview over,
Right.
but then as like an elected official, I feel like I have influence
Right.
to like speak of these things. As a city, we have prioritized our young
Right.
people, we have prioritized our youth. But remember, like, there's that 25% of the budget.
Right.
So you can't kind of squeeze blood from a turnip because it doesn't exist.
Right.
But there's things that we can do, like, you know, building out the bandwidth, building out pathways for nonprofits to
Mm-hmm.
be strong enough and competent enough and able to, like, write grants and be in the community and give services. We also have done things like we've done things like extend our hours within our like community services department. We've given out laptops. We've
Yeah.
created jobs. But the thing about it is the bite is so big.
Yeah. It is.
The
It
bite
is.
is so
Yeah.
it's significant. And then also like when we're using sliding scales and like people's income to say like we're only going to serve people who stem from households that make less than 30,000. Well, I know households that make 75,000 who are
We're
who are
still we're still struggling.
who are still struggling. So
Most
it's like
definitely.
I mean it's so many I don't know.
Yeah. It should really, in my opinion, focus on people within the city limits
Yeah,
in general.
I know.
Yeah. And it's hard to say that because, you know, if you're looking at a household that only makes 30,000, well, that's a one parent household because two parents can make, you
30,
know,
70,
or we're
60,
asking for
70.
fraud, right? Other than
Well,
that. So it's like,
and then realistically, everybody's one paycheck away from being homeless. Like
yeah,
this inflation is real.
yeah, you lose your job,
So
you don't have anywhere to go. I mean, on a regular $20 an hour salary, and that's
McDonald's, $25.
yeah, and just now, right? So you're not really able to still pay $2,500 in rent, you know, and even apartments are starting at $1,500 right now, unless you're able to. There is access, though. I will say there is some low income apartments that Stockton does offer and provide, but there's a wait list for everything,
Yeah.
right? So, um, so with that being said, we're having to do roommates. We're having to stay in relationships that, to survive, that may not be the best, right? One of the things that I did recently find out is that there's a new law that, you could correct me if I'm wrong or if you didn't hear about it at all, about, you know, landlords requiring three times the
Yeah.
rent, which
True.
is like, if I have three times the rent, I don't want to live here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll go buy my own property. Now, what's your understanding of how that works?
Well, I haven't been in tune into that. It is a state law. It's not a local
The state, yeah.
ordinance or law. But I know that it is essentially kind of opening up the pathway. So, and that could be like for people in Stockton, because someone in the Bay Area can come and easily
Yeah,
oust you from that
yeah, most
opportunity
definitely.
to rent. But I know that they're doing the three times more than the rent, and then I also believe they're doing credit fees.
Yeah, credit fees, like,
$30,
yeah, like,
$45,
yeah.
and then
And they're doing multiple, like, they'll leave it open so many people can apply, and you're probably running like one or two who will actual credit the person you want, right?
that's a lot. Like,
And you're collecting all these fees.
and let me tell you, units don't stay on the market very long.
No. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I think that there has to be a better pathway for workforce housing where people can afford to buy a house
Yeah.
who actually live here,
Yeah.
and they're not being ousted on their own. And we need other cities who are not being a part of the solution to get off their butt and be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
Like, cities like San Jose and, Oakland, because these are their residents
Yeah.
that are coming to our community and ousting our residents. And
Yeah.
that's not fair.
Yeah.
So they have to be a part of the solution as well.
Yeah.
It cannot be a one sole municipality's job or responsibility to fix the whole state. It is not
Yeah.
logical.
Yeah. No, you're right, because I mean, it's like the scales aren't balanced in that way. So that makes complete sense to me. Now, when we talk about that, are you an advocate for rent control? What are your
Um,
thoughts on that?
so, I heard different formularies about rent control. Um, one, there's narratives that rent control would be a consequence to,
Owning.
working families. It
Mhm.
could be a consequence for owning. This is what Kimberly's for. Kimberly is for what makes sense.
Yeah.
So people are able to buy and people are able to access housing.
Yeah.
We are doing, I think in August or September, we are doing a housing trust fund.
Oh.
I'm excited about that. So that's going to open up pathways for people for like down payment assistance. I think that's big
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, everybody wants their slice of the American pie,
Yeah.
the house with the white picket fence. I think that that's logical too. I'm for creating generational wealth.
Yeah.
And the only way that we do that is for people to be able to buy a house.
Yeah.
That's
Most
significant.
definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. So, with that being said, can you send me the link for that so I could tag it in the video once production's done? Yeah, I would love to be able to
Absolutely.
tag some information to be able to share with everybody
Yeah,
on
I'm
that
excited
event.
about
Yeah.
that. I'm excited about the housing trust fund that's coming down the pipeline. And that's, again, it kind of speaks to like the innovation of the city, the Central Valley, because we do see our challenges, but it is complex because we're the Central Valley compared to like the Los Angeles region,
Right.
like where they have a lot of power because that's the majority of where local delegations are.
Yeah.
There's more cities in the Southern California, so more wealth in Southern California. There's more investment in Southern California. So seeing this housing trust fund come to fruition is
Yeah.
huge. It's going to be a game changer
That's
for
awesome.
for community and residents. So I'm excited
Yeah.
about that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm getting some behind the scenes stuff that,
Yeah, you
exclusive, getting
are.
some exclusive out here for Stockton. Now we talked about, I haven't looked at, see, I told you I didn't need these cards. I didn't need them at all.
Yeah.
I didn't need them. I had a lot to talk about. So those are the main topics that the city really wanted to address. And I appreciate you addressing those, topics. Now, would you say that in order to affect change, we should be starting to go to our county a little bit more than our
Abs-
city?
Big bang, take little bang.
Big bang, take little bang, and that's where
Mhm.
I mean, that's the message that I feel like I'm hearing here today.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me break it down a little further. Here's your dollar. 75 cents of your dollar goes to your board of supervisors. From the remaining of that money, 13 cents goes to those the little percentages also go to some other county taxes. Like Measure K is a county tax. We all pay it out of that dollar. So the city of Stockton essentially gets 13 cents out of your dollar.
Mm.
But wait a minute. Because SUSD wants 3.5 to 4 cent of the 13 cent that you give to your city.
Yeah. education,
Uh-huh.
which that's not a big chunk of the change. It just is a big chunk of the city's change.
Yeah. And your kids and my kid, well, yeah, well, my son goes to,
Spantica district.
yeah, he goes to Western Rhode, but my other kids have went to charter schools, so they ain't even seeing that 4.2 for me, for us,
Yeah.
because we were not with, but know where your money is.
Yeah.
So 75 cent of that dollar, the city don't even have control of that.
Yeah.
And we don't get like the sheriff's services because we live in the city of Stockton.
Yeah.
So there's things that we need to understand and know about local government and municipalities that we don't always know and understand.
Yeah.
And that's huge and that's significant as well.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the Board of Supervisors meeting periodically. I'm a healthcare guru.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I left my job. I had Kaiser for years. I now have Cigna. And I was like, oh, cool. I want to go to the county because there's this doctor. She's a Black woman. I wanted to see her, and she was amazing.
Yeah.
But I went in for a mammogram, and they were like, oh, you can't come in today because our machine is not working. I said, say what now? Because I came from Kaiser, so you know Kaiser had machines.
Yeah, no, you know what? Here, go to this Kaiser instead.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna let them know you're on your way.
They had one machine, and I was just like, what? So you mean to tell me you have one machine for this hospital?
Yeah.
And this hospital serves the whole county? Like, I'm just thinking, like, what in the Sam's rat eye is happening?
Yeah.
Like, people don't get that, but they had the right one because she was just not being nasty. I was like, but then there was this woman who knew me, and she's like, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Then she has some get right.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm thinking about the people who can't advocate, who don't have the voice. And I'm like,
now, I am big on the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with Kaiser, right? I've always had jobs that
baby Kaiser. Listen, I don't care what nobody says. Kaiser, I'll take it anyway.
Matter of fact, I was just there. Yes.
Yeah.
What's today? Yeah, I was there Wednesday, right? No, I need a blood test. I need this. I need that. This bothering
on
me,
it.
Whatever. They said,
can you go downstairs
today?
Right now.
Can
you go right now?
Today. You know, and I had to cry to get Kaiser back because as a business owner, I was under Medi-Cal, and I was in a culture shock with it because I thought I could go in and get an appointment and etc. But I mean, the healthcare system needs to be revamped, like in general, because
shut it all down
and start over from scratch. Because I feel like if I have an appointment, I shouldn't find out when I get to my appointment my doctor's not available.
You must have been going to the county that I went to. Yeah.
San Joaquin.
Because I was teed off. That happened to me before too. And I'm telling you, what struck me about the county is when they told, now at the time still do, I have Cigna Open Access, Cigna Plus. I don't need a referral. Yeah. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I can tell you about authorizations. Yeah. I know all about authorizations. Yeah. And the lady told me in order to get a mammogram, I need an authorization. I said, ma'am? I said, an authorization for preventative care? She said, oh, yes. And you need to call and get them. I said, wait a minute. You want me as a consumer to get the authorization? She said, yes. I said, what is your name? What is your name? I said, how dare you?
I feel like you need to be educated right now.
To ask me, the consumer, to get an authorization. And lastly, lady, you do not need authorizations for preventative services.
No.
You don't even need an authorization. And she was like, are you a nurse? No, I'm not. But I worked in the medical field for 15 years.
Yeah,
I know.
and I know.
You don't need no. And I said, and how dare you ask me to do an authorization? Because I think about the Medias, the Abuelitas that are coming after me.
The people with language barriers.
The people with language barriers who probably going to go home and just feel worthless and helpless and just say, just forget it.
Oh no, I went in. I was having some things going on. I was, business, momming, all of that. I was going. I had, you know, and I was like, I feel like my heart is. I'm dying. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Something's going on. So, long story short, it took months to figure out what actually was going on with me. You know, and didn't go back because I felt like they're saying you're only 30, whatever, and I'm not telling y'all my age.
Feel
You're
that.
it don't matter, whatever. But so you shouldn't have anything going on with you. I said, but did you check? Well, you need to go to the emergency room next time you feel that. And I was like, see, this is what they do to
Is
young
that
black women.
is that the a provider that took that wasn't Kaiser?
It was not Kaiser.
Yeah. See, I just can't.
Yeah.
It's just
I cried. I got back from
awful.
Kaiser. I said, I had to put in
Yeah,
a grievance.
I'm
Like,
trying to find
it
me a
was,
way. I'm trying to
yeah,
find me a way back.
yeah. It's
I
hard
have
because,
Sutter now, and it's
yeah,
a
a little better.
little better. But I feel it. I
Yeah.
really do. Our healthcare system is so bad, and I do believe that Black women are not listened to and we're not heard. Um, I got to say about the time I had to deliver a 11-pound baby, because they didn't listen to me, and I'm like, no, 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 this is not normal. This baby is
Yeah.
not normal. They were like, yeah, maybe 8 pounds. I'm like,
No, something's
mm.
wrong because
But
I
they
shouldn't feel
don't.
this way.
They do not listen
They
to
don't
Black
listen.
women.
Yeah.
It's getting back to what we talked about when I initially sat down. Black women are unprotected and disrespected, at a staggering rate,
Oh, yeah.
in any and all aspects of life. And I say that in the camera, unapologetically. Every
You know,
aspect of life.
so I just want to share this with you because we're talking about it. And, you know, um, I had a pregnancy, my first pregnancy, and I had a loss.
Mm,
I
I'm
went into
sorry.
preterm
Mm.
labor. It's a lot to put on here. I went into preterm labor, but I'm sure other people have dealt with things. So, and I could talk about it now, But I went to Dameron Hospital, and I'm gonna call out the hospital because when a young woman water breaks, right, and you send her home because you're no one's there to operate the machine,
I can't.
and I'm at the emergency room, and you send me home and I deliver my baby early,
Oh, oh.
that is not only traumatizing to me, but traumatizing to my brother that had to help me with it, right? And then I go back to that same hospital, and you put me on the floor with other people delivering, and I'm hearing babies being born, and then never tell me what happened to my child.
Mm,
Mm, that does something to you.
yeah.
You know, it, I'm telling you there's something wrong,
And you
and
don't
you
want to
send
listen.
me home.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I talk to a lot of I was a manager in the restaurant industry for a long time, so a lot of people look up to me and came to me when a lot of young people, right? I work for um, a place that hired a lot of youth, right? So young women, they would say, oh, I'm feeling this way or whatever is going on, and I'm like, no, go see a different doctor, go ask again, go again, go again. And and I'm such a big advocate for for reform in the medical industry, especially in the way we view black women in the you know, and it goes back to slavery, that where we
Absolutely.
just are so strong and nothing can be wrong with us. Our pain
Disrespected,
tolerance must be so have been so high
disrespected, unprotected, disregarded every time on all levels.
on all levels,
Because
everywhere.
as you're transcribing your story to me, I think about Serena Williams.
Mm,
Said the same. She's a
yeah,
millionaire, and
doesn't matter.
and almost died in childbirth because it doesn't matter. That's the way they see us,
That's the way they
and
see
it's
us.
the way they view us, and it's so disheartening, to hear that. But what I respect about what you just said is, pouring into others and
Yeah.
using your story as your power.
Yeah.
Um, that's just terrible and just
Yeah.
awful. And it just reminds me um, why I fight,
Yeah.
why the marathon continues.
Right.
And even though we both know as black women, it goes way back to slavery on how they view us and how they see us and how they just lack regards.
Yeah.
We still thrive. Like black women, the essence of a black woman, one of the highest educated, groups.
Yeah. And we can run
We
businesses.
run businesses.
Crazy.
We
Better than some of
listen,
y'all. Okay.
listen, listen.
Yeah.
And we're multitaskers and
And
we're
we're
protectors
influential.
too. We're
All of the things.
we're
We
we're
carry a lot.
protectors. We carry
Let's
a
big up black
lot.
women tonight. Round of applause.
Pick it up because
Yeah.
it's a sentiment. And you know what? I do what's called continuing education units, and I do it for licensed clinical social workers. And so I'm doing a presentation in November called when you know who you know who you are not.
Mm.
When black women thrive, we all thrive.
Yeah.
Because when we advocate for these social injustices, we're not only advocating for black women.
Yeah.
When a black woman rises, we all rise.
Yeah.
We all rise.
Yeah.
And that is critical in society.
Most definitely.
Even if we don't accept it, it's the truth.
Yeah, most
It's the
definitely. And
truth.
you know what they say? They say, you know, when a black woman generally decides on the when we weigh out our options for presidents, right? Um, is generally for the greater good of everybody, more so than other. Uh, you know, I'm trying to think of the word. Other um, groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say groups, because we care about mothering and taking care of everybody, the black men, the everybody, all of them.
That's why we all rise.
Yeah.
This is why we all
Yeah.
rise. Because and think about it, like you hit on slavery. Think about black women in slavery. Like we weren't only raising our kids.
We're raising everybody.
We were
Babies.
raising everybody. We were breastfeeding white children and our children at the same time. At the same time.
And then being told you can't use the bathroom because like that make it make sense.
It doesn't.
So and that's one of the things where sometimes logic has never been in the equation, because how can you allow your child anyway. I digress. Anyway,
I know.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
I know.
No, but seriously, like, make it make sense. You never mind.
Because you can't. You can't make it make sense.
You can't.
No matter how hard you try.
No matter how hard you try, it just there's no logic a lot of the time. So, that was a lot. That was a little heavy right there.
I know. It was. It was traumatic. But I guess, as we're kind of wrapping it up, one thing that I do want to talk about is like self-care.
Yeah.
I want to talk about pouring into you, all of us. You mean us, me, all of us, because I think we don't talk a lot about that. I want to, leave here really empowering the narrative of self-love. I've had to tell myself and remind myself, because the world is cruel.
Yeah.
I've had some cruel things said to me about my weight and just, being a single mom and, this opinion and that opinion. And it's definitely a lot of self-love and a lot of self-actualization of who I am and reminding myself of that.
Yeah.
And so, I just say that because we, had that moment where you talked about just really just admiring me or, respecting me in the things that I've done. Just really putting that back on you and putting it back to people who are looking. Like, self love and knowing who you are is so essential in
Yeah.
success. There's no real recipe for success, it just happens. It's really about your work, um, your worth ethics, and your grit
Yeah.
and your thirst to have it, but making sure that you're taking time and pouring to yourself as well. Because the world is already cruel. So don't be cruel to yourself.
Yeah. At least don't make an enemy out of yourself against yourself.
No.
At the end of the day, everybody's going to have an opinion. Everybody's going to feel some type of way or have a judgment, this or that.
Your own
Uh,
the only opinion you should have of yourself is your own.
yeah. So you have to know what you think of you before you walk out the door every day.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I learned this year.
For me,
And I at my
yeah.
big age, I just learned that this year. To not value
Yeah.
someone else's opinion of me more than I value my own. And that starts, in the work industry. You are who your title is. You feel black women in general, people in general, they think they are their role in life. And knowing that there's more to you, and I feel like that, and just based off our conversation today and any other conversations we had, especially today, I know that you're more than your title.
Absolutely.
And
the title don't mean nothing.
yeah,
It's the woman.
Yeah.
Like, my I always said my dad recently passed away, rest in peace, but my grandma used to tell me a story about how he named me, which I really believe he probably named me after a white woman.
Yeah.
My name is Kimberly Antoinette, and he always used to say, but in the end, she's always my Queen Antoinette. But Queen Antoinette was really a queen,
Yeah.
a ruler, a commander.
Yeah.
And so I've always had to remind myself who I am.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
every day, no matter what, that self talk, that self affirmation every single day. Again, y'all, the world is cruel.
Yeah.
Don't be cruel to you. Remind yourself of who you are and stand, I get comments like when
Yeah.
you walk down the street, it's like head up,
Yeah.
walk that. And remind yourself I don't care I don't care what role you have, where you work at, who your supervisor is or not.
Mm-hmm.
You better love
Or if
yourself.
you are the supervisor,
or if you are the supervisor, you better walk that walk.
you better walk it.
You better walk that walk.
Yeah.
They're gonna always say, I don't know what that woman is, but she is somebody.
Yeah. No, and that was one of the things I felt like I was somebody, but then I was like, because of my role though, right? Like, so I'm walking around life like, but when I was out of that role, I was left with me. COVID shut that down, right? I'm like, I'm top performer, top 10% in the company. I'm this, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, who am I now? You know what? Let me find something else. I'm gonna be a business owner.
I know.
I'm about to be social butterfly. And then that I had to take a sabbatical, right? I felt called to do it, right? And then I was like, okay, now you strip. You're a mom. Yeah, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. Okay, but who are you after that?
Man.
Who are you when you're not someone to somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
When you're not a girlfriend, when you're not a this, when you're not a that.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you before you you step out of that bed every day? When you're talking to God, who is he talking to? Right? Talking to me, and what are the desires of your heart? What do you feel like you can accomplish? Not what do people feel like you can accomplish.
Right.
And so I had to develop myself in that way and get real raw with myself and with some accountability, right? And say, you're not doing all that you can. You're not, because you are doing some of what you can.
Mm-hmm.
You are limitless,
mm-hmm.
right? So, yeah. So
I love
that's
that.
just my, my little tidbit. But before we get off of here, we do have to talk about these nails. Show the camera. Show, claws.
So, and most of them are mine. They kind of grown out. So I want to tell you my story about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This is a funny story. Okay, so I was in DC for a couple weeks and I was lobbying for my job and just circling back on some Stockton projects at the Capitol. I feel like DC may be a home for me one day.
Yeah.
I just love it.
I
I'm
feel
always
like you're
there.
drawn there.
I know, I'm always there. So I'm in Georgetown at the George Washington Hilton. And it was packed. And I was like, dang, what's happening? But I knew there was like a lot of buses coming in, a lot of people coming in. So I knew it was something. So I'm in the elevator. If people know Kimberly and her nails, I always like nice unique colors. So I'm in the elevator and I see, white women come in and I'm like, oh, wow. I like fashion too. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I like your jacket. She's like, I like your nail colors. So we're just exchanging and talking about shoes and clothes. But everybody is like looking at me, like, kind of giving me like, you're in danger. So I'm like, we never exchanged names. We were just having good conversation. So we go to the Starbucks downstairs. And if you've been to DC enough, you know what Secret Service looks like. So Secret Service comes in and woof, they got her, got her copy, pulled her. I went to the table and I'm sitting there. And DC is very cultured. So it's like, you don't know what part of the world people are from.
Yeah.
But
A lot of travelers.
A lot of travelers, but it was somebody with a very heavy accent. And I'm not even going to try to even guess where they were from. And they're like, oh my God, my sister, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. They're like, do you know who you were talking to? I was like, no. I said, who is that? Bleached, blonde, bad built body. I was like, oh my God. That's not the thing, though. They were like, at 3:00, you need to go back to your room. I said, why? They're like, you don't know? I'm like, no what?
You're out here in La La Land.
Right. I'm like, no what? Donald Trump is going to be here at 3:00 and he's doing a speech.
Oh.
I said, what?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I'm seeing all the MAGA, the MAGA, Make America and all that. They're all in the lobby. I said, oh, heck no.
I got to go.
But I got to see this. So I was there for 2 weeks. So I made friends with a lot of like the bellmen.
Yeah.
And so I got a sneak peek of a Trump rally. And let me tell you, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Because he was in there, and I promise you, like, y'all, and I'm sorry if you're a Donald Trump supporter. I'm not, obviously. But there was just a part in that speech that I just could not stomach, and quote unquote, but not direct quote, because of course I didn't write this down. But he was in there, he said, I'm going to be the first black president because I'm relatable to black men because I have 34 felonies.
Oh.
And then everybody's like, oh, and then we're going to make a shirt. We're going to make a shirt and we're going to sell it for $19.99. And I'm looking at all in the crowd and I'm seeing all the black faces and I'm just like, what am I experiencing? But I've never.
Y'all need to vote.
Yeah.
Is this thing on? What camera am I on?
Please vote.
How he gonna be the first black person when we already had one?
Oh, twice.
Okay.
By the way, he was reelected. But I'm just like, that was pretty bold. That was pretty bold.
Yeah, but you know what?
That was pretty bold.
What it is for me is
no. And I'm just sitting there like, I was just like, what is happening? Like, that was my first time getting a snack. And I didn't say, there was no way I could stay though. I couldn't stomach all that.
I know.
I couldn't stomach all that.
You never know when it's going to go haywire.
Well, that too. And it was some excitement outside of the hotel, but it was very disturbing for me to hear that comment, to hear the sentiment. I mean, he's still entitled to rally and
of course
campaign and do those things, but the one thing that stuck with me was a lot of the hotel staff were like, I'm locking myself in the office, or I'm taking a break, or I don't want to be around here. And you could kind
People
of
were
tell because
uncomfortable.
it was so like it was so ethnic in that hotel and in that direct area. There was a lot of like Ethiopian restaurants, Thai restaurants. So it was very cultured. DC is a very diverse city, and so just seeing how like the staff there were concerned. They were concerned about me and who I was talking to. They were like, "Are you okay, my sister?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine." They were like, "Do you know?" No, and I'm just oblivious to everything that was happening. But that sea of the "Make America Great Again" hats and
And it's just it's a
it
feeling.
was
It's a feeling
crazy.
behind it, and imagine feeling that way for 4 years, 4 more years straight, and how much impact and change this time around, because he doesn't have to win us this time, unfortunately. And I think the biggest misconception is that, oh, he gave out all this money last time.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna say I needed, I got some funding for my business. It was helpful with COVID and things like that, but that was because there was COVID, right? And it was, he needs to be able to get back into office,
Well,
right?
he
Like
had to stimulate the economy.
he had to do,
Like
yeah.
that was a no-brainer. He
Yeah.
had to stimulate the
Even if he
economy.
didn't want to, he had to
He
do
had
it.
to. But I think for me the misinformation about people of color benefiting, like I don't know if I buy into that narrative.
Yeah.
And most importantly, to I think that that was such a big insult, um, to identify yourself as a black president because you have 33 or 34 felonies. Like that was telling. There was nothing. It was all
I don't
serious.
even think I know a black person with 34 felonies.
I know, but it was all like it was serious. I was just like, what? And there were people who were applauding that, clapping that, clapping it up, and I was just like, this is so appalling. And and then just to hear the follow-up debate where he made the statement that people are coming across the border to take black jobs. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, what in the world is a black job? Like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
a barber, a businesswoman, a social worker, a
First of all, can't
doctor.
nobody do what we
What
do.
is a black job? Like, I
And
need you to
they're not
explain that
coming
to
for
me.
black jobs. The fear, and the fear is that they're coming for their jobs. And that's with everything. And they're really fearing black people taking their jobs as well.
Well,
What is this Project 25? What are your
right.
thoughts on
Oh
that?
God. Oh, we're getting too comfortable now. Oh God. Listen,
Yes.
what kind of rhetoric is this? Like, it's just so much to say. I just like the audacity.
I said, the, what the?
Listen, I can't even deal with that circular rhetoric. Like, I'm so tired of it. Like, but it also shows the plays that are happening,
Yeah.
right? Like the organizing to like dismantle social injustices. That play is being organized to orchestrate not corruption. Well, yeah, corruption too, but like disenfranchisement. Like they are organizing to oppress people.
Yeah.
Like this is
Insane.
insanity.
And they're gonna do it by any means necessary. So
It's
it's
wild.
just, yeah.
It's
And
so
it was
wild.
something I also recently seen was that they're gonna inflict a draft, right?
Yeah, I saw that. That's scary.
You
It's
have got to be
scary.
concerned for your youth, your children. These
That's
are
scary.
children right here on Homeland. And it just makes me think
Women
what
and
we're
women, young women and young men in that
yeah,
draft.
yeah,
Okay?
this is different.
Yeah.
It's very different. The stakes are higher. And I feel like I've been having like these, it's so funny because I've, for the past 2 years, I've been having like reoccurring dreams about home warfare, right? And it's crazy to say that. I'm saying this all online. Anyway, dreams be real. So, and feeling the need to protect my children and get to my children here on homeland. And for this to be something that is so close to being a reality. Because I do believe that at some point we're going to have to fight here. And that's why they're inflicting that.
Well, and to your point, let's talk about the real. Let's talk about what's happening in Gaza. Let's talk about what's happening in Ukraine. Let's talk about what's happening in Russia. Let's talk about what could be happening in China. Like, I mean, I know that like this is the stay woke, but I'm saying like we need to really start focusing on what is right. This is why I have a problem with misinformation and disinformation, because I think it takes away from the realities of what's really happening in the world. What is going to happen to America if China ever wants their money back?
We all gonna have to work.
You had to shift in your seat on that one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they gonna take us for labor in general.
Exactly. And then going back to the black jobs, and like, you know, I think he said something like, and some obscene amount of people coming across the border. Like we're talking about causing a rift and a division in communities of color, when we're all, I mean, I hope I don't offend anybody when I say this, we're all one boat stop away. Like if you look at the pathway to America, what continents and countries did the boat stop at?
Yeah.
Like really, like we are all, you know, one human being anyway. Like why do we have to start attacking people in groups of ethnicities and not talk about the problem?
And you know, and the other thing that I wish people will remember, right? Because black people, we remember a lot, right? But it's other cultures that I feel like have forgotten. But Asians were under attack for a moment due to the Chinese disease, right? And then there's other, in Hispanics were under attack really heavy because of
Middle Easterns with hijabs, even still to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much to say about racism, classes and cultures. And even, you know, let's be honest, even as black people, like we're still on a divide on, you know, I've had some pretty disturbing labels of like being called an Oreo cookie or whatever. I mean, that's the only thing I can think about. But whitewashed is another term. Like, there's
I'm medium ghetto.
Oh, you're medium ghetto. Oh, that's a good one. That's a nice one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. But I mean, there's just so many moving elements that we can talk about division in our community, and divisions is just distractions. They're merely distractions from not being able to focus on the truth and who the oppressors are.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, but people ain't ready for them conversations.
Nah, that's a lot. That's heavy on them.
I know. It's terrible, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take a breather on that one.
Deep breath.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and switch on over, because that was heavy. That was a lot. That was good information for y'all. You know, y'all didn't know I knew a little something about something, huh?
You had me with the Project 25. Oh, Lord, Jesus. Oh, my God. That's just crazy.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you were dating.
No.
That you want to actively date. I'm getting the stitch, guys. Hold on.
Right. I almost want to say, I'm going to say it because I'm funny. Yeah. I'm not going to turn down an opportunity.
Yeah. If it's you see a fine BMW, that's my code for black man working. I'm Porsche, so everything's a car. So
I've been on active dates. I'll say that.
yeah,
I've been on active dates. Do they pan out? Maybe not. Not
yeah.
as.
Are you looking for a BMW, or are you
Um,
open to a different letter in front of the W? The BMW.
this is tea, y'all. What? This is tea. I mean, I have dated outside my race,
Yeah. So,
and
what
it wasn't.
nationalities have you tried?
I've dated a Latino man.
Hmm.
I've dated a white or a Caucasian man. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing, there's something about the essence of a BMW or a
Yeah.
black man. But I don't mind.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when you do date interracially,
Hmm.
because I believe that, like, for me, stepping in or stepping out with someone who is not a black man, of course I get like those stares, like, oh my god, or
Yeah.
oh oh, or I have a friend that I was talking to about dating outside of my race, and he was like, "Oh, you're just such a salad. You're such a salad. I can't believe you're not dating a black. I can't believe it." And I'm like, "Listen, like, I'm not gonna assign or ascribe myself to one specific individual. I'm gonna just be free and date, enjoy, and see where
See
it
what you
lands."
get. Yeah.
But I am a very different type of date.
Yeah.
Be prepared, because you
Yeah.
might have to be invaded by some people, or two, three, four, five.
You got to be ready.
you know, I but I've had some perks of, like, I went out on a date one time. It was so funny, but he was like, kind of, oh, this is cool, because
He liked it.
someone else paid for our meal.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we just want to make sure we want to pay for the vice mayor's tab, so they paid for our food. It was a nice gesture. So he was like, oh, this is cool. I like going out with you.
Yeah.
He didn't want to see that bill.
Yeah. It was good bill.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some perks sometimes, but it is different, and kind of being discreet, and mindful. I don't want people to put my dates on Facebook and
Yeah.
social media. Like, I think that I do have a right to privacy,
Yeah.
contrary to popular belief. But it's been a journey. I have someone that I kind of, well, yeah, I admire him, but I don't know if he's ready for prime time.
He's not ready for the show
I don't
yet.
know he's ready for prime time yet. Like, he's like, this is crazy. And having emotional intelligence is real too, because sometimes I come home with a different level of, like, stress and agony, and just, like, being overwhelmed. Having a high profile job, having a high profile position is sometimes debilitating, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to having to listen and process is different.
Yeah.
I was in love a very long time ago with my kid's father. He was, unfortunately, he passed away because of being shot,
Hmm.
and he didn't wasn't able to come back from the wounds that he
Suffer.
endured because of that. Um, that was a real different experience too, because, like, I didn't have to want for anything. So I think
Yeah.
that there's a level of expectations. Now I don't want for anything, because I work hard to
Yeah.
get what
Right,
I
right, right.
want.
Yeah,
So
most definitely.
that's,
You have to be able to provide what you expect,
yeah.
but doesn't change the expectation
Doesn't
of how you
yeah,
need to be
yeah,
treated, for
yeah,
sure.
for
Especially
sure.
if you value yourself, you should find someone who values you as well.
Yeah.
So, then you can spoil each other. I like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a person that I kind of admire and respect, and He's very caring and loving, and he isn't involved in politics at all.
Hmm.
So that, and he always says, I don't want anything to do with
You
politics. I don't
know?
want anything. I'm
So
just
when
a
you
regular
go home,
person.
it's home, or
Well, he has his
I
own
won't say
home, and I
home
have
like
my
y'all
own
live
home.
together. Let me fix
No, yeah,
that,
yes,
boy.
yes,
What's that?
yes,
A veto?
yeah,
We
yeah. We
veto
veto
that.
that. We veto that. He has his own, and I have my own. And then
But
if we,
with that person, that part is laid down. The politics, or
yeah,
do you still have to talk about it?
I do, but I know that he's like, what in the heck are you talking about?
I don't even know.
Like, what are you talking
Constituents, what
about?
you talking
Like,
about?
I don't even understand. Like a lot of times, I'll say, I don't even understand that. Like, what are you? What's happening? Like, what's happening? But he would do. I know for a fact that he would do whatever I needed him to
Yeah,
do, or he
step up.
supports me
Yeah.
100%. I just don't know if he's able to relate to it. But
Yeah.
even like in my job, it's still political. Like
Yeah.
I'm still going to the Democratic National
For sure.
Convention. I'm still gonna be on stage talking about mental health. I'm
Yeah.
still going to DC.
You're always going to be a powerhouse.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah.
think that there's ever going to be a time where that part of you won't be there. And it's, a lot of times a lot of people talk about this, just being a powerful Black woman or a boss. You're a boss in your own right. Like, you're the boss.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And really needing a strong partner to know, that they're still the man, but, I'm a boss.
And that's hard. I gotta share this. Like we're really sharing tea now, but this is my con. So I remember, and I hope that I hope he doesn't. I hope he watches you, but I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are.
You know who you are.
But
We
I
know.
remember
We
going
don't
out
know.
so I'm going out to dinner, and of course, the owners of the restaurant knew who I was, so they were like, "Oh, the vice mayor's here. Oh my God!" The owner came and talked to me, and blah blah blah. And it's one of my favorite restaurants. I'm still telling myself, and I was like, "Yes, I want." My favorite drink is smoked old fashions.
Smoked old fashions. Okay. I'm
So
gonna
I
have to
was,
note that for the next
yeah.
episode.
So I ordered one, and I said, and he's gonna take one too, and then we're gonna have do. But I didn't do it to be like I'm gonna order you whatever I'm gonna just order for you.
Yeah.
I
But you
did
just knew
that
the
out of
menu.
I knew
just
the
kinda,
menu. I was excited we were going to this
yeah.
restaurant. I wanted him to try my favorite drink because he never had it before, and I was just excited. So I just ordered what I wanted. Um, still boss status, right? That's what we do as bosses. We just do what we do.
Yeah.
But I remember he said to me like, "Don't you ever order my food again? You just made me feel less than a man because you ordered my food and you ordered my drink." And I was just like, "What? Like, are we really talking about that right now?" I ordered and I wanted to like defend myself, but I just said, "Okay, my bad. I apologize."
Yeah.
But I was just like thinking in my mind, I can't wait to go home.
Yeah. I gotta get out of
Are
here.
you
This guy's
really
tripping.
like? Are you really gonna just sit
Yeah.
here and just feel demasculated because I ordered you a drink and an appetizer or two because I was so excited that we were at my favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
Like really? Like, are you serious? But these are small things
The
that are
small
just
things
like,
that are tidbits for dating. But I will say he wasn't wrong.
I know, but it was not, and it did not come from a place of like,
You have to.
I'm taking charge.
Yeah.
It came from the place of like,
I'm excited to share this
I'm
with
excited
you.
to share this with you. Like,
Yeah.
you've always said like you never had an old fashioned, and I'm just like, oh, now's the time you can have your old fashioned. So I just did it out of excitement.
Yeah.
So it was just like, okay, lesson learned.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did not do that again. We had a
Yeah.
couple more dates after that,
Yeah.
but it was just like, oh God.
Yeah.
It was
In
like that.
in that aspect, we have to learn to let the man lead on that and play a little I don't know what I
I don't know. What do
want.
you want?
What do you
What's your favorite
think?
drink?
You know, I usually get this. I don't
Oh,
know.
right, right. But that it's so it's those
You know.
yeah. It's that type of thing, and then a lot of times too, just kind of thinking about like the dating scene or whatever. Like I think sometimes it's the expectation, like I always want to go to a scale restaurant.
Yeah,
I like high scale
because you
restaurants,
treat yourself to high
right?
scale restaurants in
But
general.
I think that I love tacos.
Yeah,
So I'll go to a taco truck in a second.
yeah. Let's
Like,
go.
let's go to a taco truck and get like some tacos and a Modelo. No
I
problem.
don't think you're from Stockton if you don't like taco
Hello.
trucks.
When I was in DC, I was like, man, what are taco trucks at?
Not everywhere.
They're not
Even
everywhere.
Sacramento, there's barely no taco trucks.
Really?
LA,
Mm,
you know, there's not a lot. There's street vendors, right? Like,
yeah.
and you have that kind of stuff, but not like Stockton did. Even now, it's less taco trucks than it used to be. Like, it used to be a taco truck everywhere. Everybody,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it was
Right.
normal.
Right.
High school, we were like, let's go get tacos.
Oh,
Get a burrito
I
truck.
might go
You know?
tonight.
I know I want tacos right now.
So our next conversation, tacos
Yeah.
and wine. But those are a lot of sometimes I like going to like Top Golf is
Yeah.
cool. I actually golf too, so that's cool too.
You got for real.
Well, I can golf for real. I'm not gonna golf like 9 holes. I may do
Yeah, I know.
5 or 6,
Yeah.
and then have like a nice ice chest in the back for snacks or whatever.
And be cute in
Yeah,
our
be
little golf
cute.
stuff.
Absolutely,
And just,
hundred percent,
yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
But I like going to amusement parks too. So like sometimes those things aren't like most of the time when guys ask me out on dates, they think they have to like take me to
This big thing.
this big thing. And big things are nice, but I'm okay with small things too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's been an experience. We'll just say an experience.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm getting all the tea tonight.
You are.
Yeah.
You are. It's so funny. You might get me in trouble tonight.
It's girl talk.
Yeah, everybody
It's
gonna
girl
be like,
talk.
so who's that gentleman that you admire?
Yeah.
Aw, who
Let's
you
talk
talking
about your admirations for this year.
For this year, my admirations.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to be teaching somewhere.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I've had some offers from different schools, so definitely doing some teaching. Um Definitely doing some more women's empowerment. I'm glad I kind of got back in the game and doing some
Good.
therapy. So teaching some empowerment, starting my own nonprofits.
Mm.
Um what did I call it? I think it was like When Suns Rise.
When suns rise.
Yeah. So based also, I'll tell you a little bit about my kids. So my second oldest son, he's 16. He just turned 16 today. It's his birthday.
Oh, happy
But he
birthday.
told me he wanted to be a cop.
Mm.
And again, it was just like his experience of like learning that Stockton hired our first African American police chief.
Yeah.
That's significant. It was significant for him to see and watch and grow with. Um, but also, I was telling one of my colleagues that sometimes I take my son as my date.
Yeah.
Even though people are like, "Oh, is that your boyfriend?" I'm like, no, that's my son.
Was he's super tall?
Oh, he's super tall.
Yeah.
He's super tall. But one thing that I got some compliments on is like being, the fact that I've been able to expose him to things. He's such a well-mannered kid. Like I get phone calls saying like Nico is such a well-mannered young man.
Yeah.
Please, thank you, hold doors. But these are things that I instilled in him because I just believe that a lot of times our young men, especially young men of color, black men, aren't exposed to those things. So when our sons rise, the sky's the limit.
The sky is the limit.
Making sure our young men have that tenacity to dream and hope, So I'm excited about that and just kind of moving that work Dropping a virtual magazine
Oh,
for mental
nice.
health is going to be something up my purview as well. I've been working on that for a while, but like I said, just with life, I kind of got sidetracked. So I feel very grounded, very hopeful, very empowered, and just very blessed.
Yeah.
So
You've
those are
been
some
through a lot
things
of things in your lifetime, and
I have,
and you've seen a lot as well. And you have a lot more planned for your future.
which
And
I'm
that's
excited
beautiful.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. So what keeps you going?
Hope. Um, I think also, especially for like black men, because I think a lot of times what I've seen is a lot of black men give up hope because of systems, what they've been exposed to, what they've seen. So pouring into them, but first starting with me first,
Yeah.
you know, that gives me hope. Change gives me hope. When I see people, because I started in children's services, so I started at children's mental health, and so sometimes I get kids who I've seen when they were like this big. They'll be like, Miss Kimberly, do you remember? And like they're like this big. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I don't. You used to see me when I was, this
Yeah.
age, and now I'm playing football, or now I'm this and I'm that, or you taught me this or that. I love that when that
Yeah.
happens. That happens. So a lot of the popularity isn't just the vice mayor. Sometimes it's like, oh, you were my
For
counselor,
what you
or you were
did
my
before.
therapist, or you saw my kid, and that brings me joy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's good.
I
So,
love that.
if there is anything that you could leave us with today,
Mm.
anything, well, we talked about so much, right? You gave so many great gems, but if there's anything you would want the public to know about you, or any words of encouragement for the public that you would like to just kind of leave us with.
Um, don't judge a book by its cover. First,
Yeah.
let's start there. I think that sometimes people believe like Kimberly Warmsley is like sitting behind a desk having a frappuccino, like
Yeah.
so high in the sky, like
Yeah.
she doesn't know or understand what is happening. Kimberly Wormsley's gonna be at the taco trucks. Kimberly
Yeah.
Wormsley's gonna be uh,
At the schools.
at the schools. Kimberly Wormsley is gonna be at your house. Kimberly Wormsley is gonna be
At the
around.
parks.
Kimberly Wormsley is only a phone call away.
Yeah.
So
Facebook. She
yeah,
that's where I reached out and got her on the
yeah,
show.
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah. Kimberly Wormsley is around. I think that that's one of the things that I want people to know. I want people to know that I put my pants on the same way you put your pants on. I have the same fears as a mom, as someone who's living in Stockton. Um, Kimberly Wormsley is human, just like you. Um, my motivation for you, my empowerment to you is like, know who you are, love yourself. Self love is real.
Yeah.
And just always aim for the stars, even if you miss. The fact that you aim is core, is key, is queen.
It's queen.
So just making sure that you're reaching your fullest potential. Um, and yeah, follow me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yes.
Every conference I go to, I tell people to follow me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, find
My
her on
phone be going
LinkedIn.
bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
bing, bing. Or add me on Facebook. But it's been such a pleasure. I've just
Yeah.
enjoyed our time together.
No, most definitely. We'll have to do this again. We have
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
You know what? Let's just lock in post election.
yeah.
Let's
Let's
have a
lock that
chat
in.
about that.
Let's lock that
Yeah.
in. But always a phone call away and let me know
Yeah.
if I can help you. And I'm hoping you're going to follow up or follow through with United Way on the
Yeah.
capacity building for nonprofits. That's a good program
Yeah.
for inspiring entrepreneurs and nonprofit administrators, executive directors.
Yeah, I'm interested in starting a mentorship program here
Love to see it.
locally. Yeah, especially something that where we could get on campuses and kind of talk to, especially like the fifth and sixth graders. That's when they all kind of switch
Absolutely.
and pop off. That's where you
Absolutely.
get them right
Pipeline
there.
of pipeline to prison. It is a known fact that the Department of Corrections are looking at literacy rates and mathematical scores between the fifth and seventh grade to
Fifth and seventh
determine
grade.
how many prisons that they're going to build. And for me, quick story. That's why, like I told you, my daughter's majoring in mathematics. You notice I said mathematics, right? Because I've always been huge in writing. I can outtalk the best of them. I haven't always been good with math, but I think it's based on institutions. Um, I made sure all of my kids thrive in math,
In math.
all of them, because I made sure that I'm like, if you come home with that math and I don't know how to support you or tutor you, I'm gonna beat your butt.
Yeah.
So you better ask your math teacher
You
how
better
to
ask.
do it. And my son gets A's in math. My daughter gets A's in math. They both are very good in math and science. And my son Kingston, my daughter Malia, I say that that's little Michelle and little Barack Obama.
Michelle and Brock.
Yeah, because they are on their game.
Mm.
So keep them babies on game.
Yeah, most
Please.
definitely. Whatever you don't know how to do, make sure your kids learn how to do that.
I do not like no math.
Yeah.
And they better come home and know it, because I'm be like, who gonna tutor you?
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be me, because I can't.
You better ask those questions.
Any encouraging words for me on my
Oh
way
my
back
gosh,
to
so
Stockton?
many. Oh my God. One, I just want you to stay authentic, stay growing, and just know that you do have a community behind you that do support you and that knows what you've been doing here. It's not all that it says over the last year, right?
Yeah.
Of a buzz. We've seen it before that. We've seen it on a daily basis, on a regular basis. We see you, we see your heart, we see who you are. We see you.
Oh,
Okay.
love
And
that.
you are a representation of us.
I love that.
Okay. So when you walk around and sometimes, I know we're playing clean, but
Mhm.
sometimes you gotta pop out and you gotta let them know. Pull your stats. Whatever. Because at the end of the day, you're not here to play.
No.
And we know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you have done wondrous things for us, So stay encouraged. You got babies that's looking up to you, and that's,
True.
you know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Can't wait for our debrief
Yes.
in November. Mm-hmm.
I might have to pull up.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll see if Jason will come on the show. You think he will?
All you gotta do is ask.
Yeah. This has been an episode of Portia is Queen, sitting here with Vice Mayor and Councilwoman Kimberly Warmsley. It has been a pleasure.
Same. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in.